else and buy Bitcoin with free air. There's no second best, okay?
GM. So, trade of the day. I am in a swing trade, and I want to break down, which I did in Swing Trader chat yesterday. It's available for blue belts and above. Break down exactly what I did and why I did it. After we had the sell-off during the stream I was doing yesterday, a couple of things happened. It sold off sharply, but held and had a strong reaction initially, got itself back outside that value area high pretty quickly, and then held and compressed all the way towards the end of the session. And then going into Friday's close, we saw a strong breakout. At this point, I saw an opportunity for a inside day breakout, which is here. 62,250 is where my initial entry was. The breakout above Wednesday's high is the trigger. So I'll show that on the chart and how it looks. Right. Trade is based on this. Take off all of this stuff here and zoom in. So I mentioned over the past few days how BTC was consolidating within this range. So you had a high and a low from Wednesday. And the trigger for an inside day breakout is this. Yesterday, I mentioned that we had spent Thursday inside of Wednesday's range, and we were also on Friday inside of Thursday's and Wednesday's range. And the breakout of that 61.8 will be the trigger. So if you zoom in, we had that breakout attempt here. If you go back to the 15 minute actually, we had that attempted breakout. So we first had a false breakout of it. Then it came back down and it reclaimed and went for a breakout again. So when we had this breakout, and actually there was an impulsive candle, as you can see here, this impulsive candle, as we were forming it, offered the entry point for my initial trade, which is there, as it was forming. Excuse me. This was because when you have the 61.8 and it tries to break out, fails, comes back up and breaks out, that means on the daily, this daily inside candle breakout is valid. Right? And there's potential that that's going to close higher and form a breakout from this level, which basically is one of the strongest ways of confirming a valid breakout that holds. And so that was where the initial trade came from. And then as price continued to go higher, I added to it. So after that close of the impulse candle, I added immediately at 63. I added more. So let me see if I can mark some of these levels. First entry was lower time, based on lower time frame at 62,250. So it was right on that level there. So right as price was breaking out above this high. Once we had the trigger and the close, and so at that point, by the way, invalidations, right? The invalidation was originally at 61.4, so back down at this level. And I want to show why, because moving invalidations up is an important part of this. If you're compounding a trade, which I did yesterday, you're adding to the trade, but you're also moving the stop up. So you're keeping the risk the same, but you're adding as it goes up. So we had the breakout, first entry there. After that, 15-minute candle closed with an impulse, which is also an hourly close. That was going into the end of the first hour, or the 6 o'clock hour. Added then at 63, right on 63 basically exactly. So that was the second entry. But if there's a second entry, I'm also saying at this point, I basically thought it's not going to go back there. But I moved my stop loss up initially to 680, which was below the hourly candle low, which is actually here. That was where I moved my stop up to. Then, as we continued, I added one more time. There was an example of the trade, and I think I showed the entries. Yeah, there were the two entries. First entry there, we impulsed higher. Second entry there. And this will be done actually, by the way, in purple belt, trade management, compounding, purple and brown belt, cross over into it. I'll also probably do it on a weekend workshop coming soon. And there was one more entry. Yeah, add it again here. And so I showed this in lower time frames. Add it again at this point based on the way price was consolidating, moved up, sold off, made a new high quickly, sold off again. So it was a couple of flushes, which allows, on the lower time frame, it allowed me to get tighter entries and add to the position, which you can see here. based on a key level that if the breakout was going to hold, it should not retrace back below. So at this point, which you're looking on a 1 hour chart, we're over here. We had broken above the 62.8 level. That's an important level because it's the old point of control from March to July, and it was this breakout. You see this double entry here. And so when you zoom into that 1 minute chart that I was showing, and we look at it here, you can see more clearly why I added to the position where I did, which is around this level here. Okay, so we had impulsed higher, we had broken above, we had a positive close, good hourly close. We tried to sell off early in the next hour. We went below, we retested on low time frames, that breakout. We reclaimed the POC, and we got back above, most importantly, made a new high. That shows price is pushing higher. Just like in a downtrend, when you see a bounce off a downtrend, if it comes back and it holds, that's quite likely going to chop higher for a bit. If it comes down into a downtrend and it bounces and it goes to a new low, that's again a sign that you could be having this kind of move. So it's the exact same thing, but the opposite. It goes up, it tries to sell off, it makes a new high pretty easily. It's going to make new highs, going to chop and chop and chop and then go higher like it did. Of course, not always going to happen, but probabilistically, I thought that 62.7, 62.8 offered really strong support here. And if the idea was correct that we were going to have a nice strong daily close, we should not lose those levels. They've been retested on lower time frames. That's how you get those retests on the high time frame. You look at a 1 hour chart, you just see one candle. That's how you get them forming on lower time frame. I'm going to have lessons on that in the future about using, well, actually today, I should say, this is going to actually be part of today. Weekend workshop today, 4 p.m. UTC. The topic is multi-time frame trades. How to analyze something on a higher time frame and execute it on a lower time frame. So we're going to see all of that today. So definitely be there for that weekend workshop. Remember, they're only up for the weekend. Be there today, 4 p.m. If you're not here today, the recording will be live for 24 hours where you can catch up on it. So I got back in here because it tried to sell off and it held and held and held and moved back above. Right, moved back above here. That was my reason to enter again. And on that third entry, I entered at 63.150. Invalidation then moved up to 62.5. So where is my original trade? At this point, I got in again with a third entry at 60. Where are we? It's all in here. 63.150. And at that point, once I entered there, I was saying that the market will not come below this wick. And so I moved my stop loss up to about 62.5, around that area here. Because at this point, with the impulse candle and the retest of it and moving higher and higher and higher, if I was correct, the market should not go beyond that. So I have 1 entry, 2 entries, 3 entries, moving the stop loss up to keep the risk the same. So my total risk for this trade never increased. Is still 1 hour of risk, right? One full-size trade for swing trade. Don't think it will lose 62.8 after breaking and holding a low time frame. Could see this move above 64k quickly if I'm right about momentum. So momentum obviously followed, and you can see this wherever it was. I think I updated it again. Yeah, so then the momentum carried us higher. We went up, grind, pushed higher, broke out. So at that point, I said this 62.5 invalidation should be safe, right? Should be. There's never any guarantees in the market. And I said here, what am I doing? What am I doing on the 1 minute chart and swing trade? That's today's workshop. Let's go. And I think that was it. Yeah, that's the trade so far. So that's how to enter. That's how I entered a swing trade using lower time frame confirmations. Now, where we go next, we'll see. I think this market is looking pretty good and setting up quite well. If you are looking to get in, where do you get in? My view, I covered it on daily levels. It's all about your time frame. I think we go higher in the near term. If you want to use that as directional bias for some of your longs, make sure you take your long trades with entries based on that. I do think that all of this area really, well, I don't know, I guess anything from, I mean, technically it could go all the way back to there, but if we go higher to 66, 67, 68, I think this general area here can and probably will get retested in the future, like I mentioned, right? That we do come back to that. And if you're directionally trading, you might see it move like this, where initially there's so much demand, people want to get out of their shorts and into longs, that it goes higher. And then we put in some kind of risk resistance distribution, come back down, and then retest later. right? And you know, several days or weeks later, it comes back into these areas. That's a rough guess of how price would move over the next few weeks. So it goes higher first, but it doesn't mean that getting massively long, like if it goes to here, it doesn't mean getting long there is a good idea from high time frame. But you can trade low time frame on these moves, as it probably goes higher, probably goes higher, probably goes higher, probably goes higher. But it does also, I guess, I would say, come back to there. So if you're a long-term trader, medium-term or short-term trader, remember to split out your time frame, split out your expectations. It can go higher initially, and you can follow that. But probably, if it goes in the next few pushes, it's probably a better place to play the impulse, take profit. Play the impulse, take profit. It's probably more of a day trader, multi 2-day hold, 3-day holds. And if you're looking to re-enter on swings or position trades, it's probably best to see how far the market can push and wait for a retest. And that's it. GM. See you later on the live stream weekend workshop. It's going to be a banger. Don't miss that. G fucking M.